When someone suffers a catastrophic loss, society expects a very specific, polite performance. We expect the grieving to remain quiet, show resilience, and gratefully accept the well-meaning advice of their friends. Job 6 upends this performance. In these verses, we find a man who refuses to play along. He is furiously angry, devoid of hope, and actively begging God to end his life. His friends have just finished urging him to calm down and repent for his outbursts. Instead of apologizing, Job doubles down. He acknowledges his words are rash, but he insists his horrific, unfiltered complaint is entirely justified. Job demands that we place his extreme emotional state on one side of a scale and the reality of his situation on the other. He is asking the reader to evaluate whether his unacceptable reaction is a logical response to the weight he is carrying. This moment pushes human endurance to its absolute edge. It forces a confrontation with the kind of pain that breaks every polite rule of suffering we have ever established. Job opens his defense by presenting his first piece of evidence, the sheer, immeasurable scale of the trauma placed upon him. Job argues that if his grief was placed on a scale, it would outweigh the sand of the sea. He describes arrows of the Almighty lodged within him, claiming his spirit drinks their poison. Beyond the infinite scale of his trauma, Job points to the strictly finite limits of his own biology. While others demand endless endurance, Job focuses on his anatomy. Is his strength made of stones, or his flesh forged from bronze? Because his body and mind have reached their breaking point, he begs God to simply crush him. For Job, the exhaustion of trying to manufacture hope without any remaining strength is a psychological state far more agonizing than death. Job's rash speech matches the intensity of his trauma. When an infinite weight is placed on a fragile, breaking body, a cry of total despair is the only proportional response. Job now turns his defense outward, indicting the people sitting right in front of him, the friends who arrived to offer comfort but failed to provide it. He describes them using a desert metaphor, the deceitful brook. These streams look promising from a distance, then abruptly evaporate when needed most. In the winter, when the environment is cold and safe, these seasonal wadis ran dark with melting ice and snow. They look strong, permanent, and reliable. But when the heat of summer arrives, the water vanishes. The travelers from the caravans of Tema and Sheba arrive expecting a life-saving drink, only to find parched earth. Job's friends are behaving like these dried-up streams. Faced with the scorching heat of Job's raw terror, they have become afraid. To protect their own peace of mind, they have retreated into safe, empty religious platitudes. This is why Job describes their advice as flavorless food and the white of an egg in verse 6. Their words lack the substance and empathy required to sustain a person starving for real connection. The text highlights a specific kind of secondary trauma, the agonizing isolation that occurs when friends prioritize their own emotional comfort over the sufferer's reality. Job finishes his speech by demanding basic human dignity. He ignores the call to repent and instead challenges his friends to look him in the eye and acknowledge that his righteousness still stands. The chapter ends with zero resolution. There is no happy ending, no lesson learned, and Job does not feel any better than when he started. This absence of a neat conclusion provides a biblical record of a life that is currently, undeniably, broken. It acknowledges the reality that some tragedies do not have a quick fix. Job 6 serves as a manifesto that desanitizes grief. It grants anyone experiencing loss explicit permission to feel the full, crushing weight of their pain without needing to apologize for the messiness of it. For the observer, the text issues a direct challenge. It forces us to ask if we are becoming deceitful brooks when the people we love experience catastrophic loss. Rather than attempting to fix the problem with shallow words, the text points toward a more difficult path, finding the courage to simply sit in the dark and face the terror alongside the one who is suffering. Job redefines the faithful life as the raw, terrifying courage to bring the truth of one's pain directly into the light.